where are you at with what happened to him? What's your, being that where you at? This is another story right now that's a lot of people are still curious to know what happened with Charlie.
Yeah, I think that in the trial, I think it's going to be publicly televised. That's what I'm hearing. I think the evidence will come out then. I think that they should release after the trial's over all the evidence, because at least what I found in the assassination of Kennedy, King, and RFK, the evidence speaks for itself, and then people can decide. But, I'm skeptical to weigh in because I just don't know all the facts yet. But what I will also say is that the family has, to my knowledge, not been able to say anything yet either, because they're worried that the defense might use it in their case to try to plead innocence. And so, the one thing I have said publicly is, I don't think that anyone should be at all implicating Erica Kirk or the family in this. And I think that people that do that are just, that's wrong.
Who's doing that?
I've seen a lot of postings that have implied that she was somehow involved or sought to benefit from it. And some of these accounts, Tyler Boyer had posted, one of them had over 400,000 followers. I think it was on Instagram.
Tyler who?
Tyler Boyer.
Rob, do you know Tyler Boyer?
I don't. I'm looking him up now.
Yeah, he's head of Turning Point Action. But I had responded to it, and he said something along the lines of, this account has over 400,000 people following it. But, I see the videos on X or the TikTok reposts, and I just think that that's wrong. Ultimately, though, I do think that there is this aspect of a foreign funding tie. And so if you go to my account and you actually type in the Rep Luna account, and then there should be a share in regards to Antifa and the funding networks that exist. So there's no question that there are certain groups that are being investigated with potential previous knowledge to the assassination. One of them was that Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. What's interesting about them is who they are connected to. So I do think that there's this aspect of foreign money coming in, radicalizing these groups, and then things happening. But, whatever is there, I think that it needs to be publicly out there for the American people to decide. So I'm looking forward to seeing the evidence of the trial.
Yeah, I'm very curious. In regards to whoever's saying Erica, typically in situations like this, I think it's normally they go to wife first or spouse first. That's a protocol that they'll normally do. I sold insurance for many years, and when clients would have suicide or certain things that would happen, the investigators that the insurance companies would hire, the list, 50 out of 50 ones I was a part of. First one they go through a spouse, then it's everybody else. So it's natural, organic thing that people do. But on the list here, who do you think benefit from it the most? Who do you think benefit from it the most?
I think that Charlie specifically was seen as a threat because of what he was going to do in the future. And so I would say that the people, the ideas that benefited from it most were the ones that directly conflicted with Charlie's ideologies and beliefs. Going back to a big issue that we have in this country right now is we have a great thing, freedom of speech. But in the same sense, other countries, our adversaries, use that to try to pit us against each other. And they capitalize on people's own ignorance in regards to believing things without questioning it on the internet, whatever they might see. And I think that Charlie had the unique ability to be able to cut through that. And so, when they're talking about potentially people that should be held accountable for this, obviously, from what I'm hearing, the shooter's fingerprints were all over the top of the building. They're all over the firearm, allegedly all over the bullet casings. That's what I'm being told. I haven't seen the direct evidence yet because I'm not, an investigator. I'm not one of the criminal investigators handling the case. But I do think that there's this aspect of, after Charlie's assassination, you did see a massive mobilization and shift from the administration to come down on these foreign funding ties to groups like Antifa and people that have been targeting the conservative belief system and ideologies. And as we know, Charlie was everything that stood against that. He was kind of in the fatal funnel, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think there was anybody like him in the entire space.
It's interesting. You're seeing kind of this push to who's going to be heir apparent to replace him. You can't replace him.
No way.
He's not replaceable.
No, listen, you couldn't replace Reagan. You tried to. Trump showed up, and guess what? Some will say Trump is much better than Reagan was because Trump is a better negotiator. You're not going to be able to replace Trump. You're not going to be able to replace Charlie. He's one of a kind. Is this the clip, Rob?
Yeah, this is the clip. But read specifically that bottom line.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Rob?
I actually talked to the DOJ about Neville Singham. He's an interesting cat. He's probably one of the worst of the worst. He's like, there's George Soros and then there's Neville Singham.
Really?
Yeah, Singham, again, he was the one funding those LA ICE riots. He's tied to the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City, who's also tied to Cuban terror network. But he was also named in this as funding rioting. And so what they're doing is, the guy, Singham, by the way, refused to respond to congressional inquiry into funding of these riots. So we wrote a letter to the Secretary of Treasury to freeze his assets. And the DOJ
I've seen this guy. I've seen this. We invited him to the podcast.
Oh, well, if you get him in town, let me know because we're going to come arrest him. Did you really invite him?
That last week. Rob, last week we invited him on the podcast.
Man,
this is the guy we invited just literally a week ago.
I would send you a list of questions, but let me know because he seriously has been refusing to respond to Congress for testimony.
Well, where's he based out of?
China. He's from LA, but he also spends a majority of his time in China. Oh, yeah, he's like the worst of the worst.
So at first I didn't know the name, but now that you go to the picture, we've been reading about this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Singham was a socialist and admirer of
you're using
Maoism,
Wikipedia. We got to talk to you on the fact sourcing on that one.
Don't
don't help them out. Wikipedia's the worst. Grok AI.
So what do we know about him? What do you know about him?
I know that he made his money directly getting help and funding from the CCP. And I also know that the guy's a devout, like as bad as it gets, straight up shill for the Communist Chinese Party. The groups and organizations that he's funding and that his wife also funds are directly responsible for a lot of the divide in this country. But it's not benefiting anyone else but China. So I'll use another issue, an example. So there's an organization called Code Pink, and they're advocating for the people of Palestine. But what's ironic about them is that their funding is all coming from Singham's wife, which is coming from the CCP. He's also not a registered foreign agent, and so we actually wrote the DOJ because last Congress when Senator Rubio was ahead of the House, where the Senate Foreign Intelligence Committee, or not Foreign Intelligence, Senate Intelligence Committee, they actually wrote a letter to the DOJ at the time asking them to hit him with FAR charges. So this guy's been on the radar for a while, but I think it's going to happen now where they're actually going to act on it criminally.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like they take these groups, right? Like let's say he's funding different organizations that are splitting Americans specifically on ICE using the Hispanic demographic, right? Then they're also at the same time funding organizations that are pitting Americans on the Palestine versus Israel issue. So it's only benefiting and coming though from one country, and that's China. And so I tell this to people, and I'm like, here's the funding ties. We know the Data Republican on X has done a great job kind of linking all the groups and organizations that have come from Neville Singham and going into, where he's operating and funneling the money. And it's wild to me.
Has he been seen with Soros at all or no?
No, but Soros is a globalist and Singham is a communist.
Got it. What a great combination.
So you have the globalists and the communists both trying to destroy America. And you have idiots regurgitating the talking points, and it's not even organic to this country, which is the ironic part on all that.
Yeah, interesting. So he doesn't come to the States because if he comes here,
if he comes here,
he's arrested.
He's in big trouble. Yeah, I don't even know that he's in country right now because we could not serve him to respond to Congress. So we tried, and he refused receipt.
So who from the U.S. government has been able to communicate with him, if anybody?
I don't think anyone has, which is why he's being, if you look at that clip, I mean, he's named as, actually, you should really play that clip. Yeah, if you can, you should play that. That's a great clip, and you should actually hear about
You had it a minute. It was a 3-minute video, right there. Go for it.
This is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros network, the Open Society network, it's other funding networks, the Arabella funding network, the Tides funding network, Neville Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number 1, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible. But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number two, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera. And then three, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types, but there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms.
You can pause it right there, right?
These are ways that
we see citizen journalists pull up to these guys that are being paid to protest. And there's a business model where you pay people to go protest for you. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't there a clip about this guy?
Oh, I posted one where this woman's a professional protester. She's like been at 100 protests. You can actually find it on that same page because I've been covering the Antifa organized rights. A lot of people think that Antifa is organic. I actually just had this debate again on that late night show. But yeah, they're organized. A lot of them communicate on the dark web on a similar platform to Facebook. They are a lot of times using crowdfunding, foreign funding, cash, all of it. They're suing cities if they're being detained by activist attorneys who are retained by these billionaire leftists. And a lot of people think, tax the rich, we hate billionaires. You guys are all shills for the very billionaires that are pushing to, basically force you guys to eat bugs and enjoy it. It's just such a wild concept to me. And it's like you have to break through that. And so social media's been key in that. But going back to, about Charlie was able to break through this in such a unique way. And I think that there were many people that benefited from his murder.
So you think Neville could be possibly behind the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I don't think like he directly said, I want to murder this person, but I think that his money in radicalizing these groups, I think absolutely had a foreign funding tie.
But do you think there's a direct tie, like a direct tie where you can track and say, no, this is the person that said, go do X, Y, Z?
I think that Tyler Robinson definitely probably had those conversations with someone. And what's interesting to me is not just with Tyler Robinson, but also with the shooter that tried to assassinate the president in Pennsylvania. And then also with some other things that have come out with some of these radicals, Discord seems to be this communication app. What's interesting is, you look at the assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler. We don't know anything about that.
Why don't we, though?
But that's the thing. I think that 100%, there was something there that does not sit right, feel right. I had actually questioned the Secret Service director at that point in time. She perjured herself to me. And that's when I was like, perjury charges. She ended up, you had both Democrat and Republican saying you need to resign from office. You're like, oh, you're unfit. But we never saw anything that came out about that. And from my own personal takeaway after seeing the evidence, that spot was left open to assassinate the president. The Secret Service did not send their snipers, to a meeting that was supposed to be had by local law enforcement to coordinate day of. He was drastically understaffed with Secret Service, and I think that the rhetoric that was maintained, I think it was like, we're going to kind of leave this open and see what happens. But there was way too much about the last shooter with President Trump where you cannot tell me that I don't think that was intentionally done. I think that was absolutely just based on the previous investigations I've looked into with Kennedy, RFK, and MLK. It felt like an inside job.
Yeah, I think you even said, if I'm not mistaken, you said the only person that probably that can release it is the president. You said something about that, right?
Yeah, President Trump, I think, can release the information on Butler, PA. And I think that that's obviously something very personal to him, but also too at the same time, remember, President Trump gets into office, but you still have a handover that takes place. So the evidence, is it exactly what was left. What's interesting, I'll use another example. The cocaine in the White House, that evidence was destroyed immediately. We'll never get to the bottom of that. Why would they destroy that evidence? So if it's something to this caliber.
What does destroyed mean?
Well, specifically with the cocaine.
Hunter's nose destroyed?
Well, with the cocaine, there was like the baggie that could have had prints, all that. That's gone. So if that's happening with cocaine, no, I'm not surprised. You had some crazy people in and out of that White House.
I'm sure they had a great weekend. People.
Don't use cocaine, guys.
But Theo Von said it best to J.D. Vance. He says, we can't even do cocaine nowadays, right? I don't know if you saw that clip with Theo.
Well, there's fentanyl. Don't do cocaine.
No, don't touch it.
Go
ever.
running instead, But the fact that discord seems to be a common thread, I do think that the shooter in Pennsylvania had a handler. It seems like there's similar profiles to these people. So I definitely am curious myself to see what that evidence is. But I do think that when the information isn't put out there directly, that's when you have a lot of these, could have Erica have been involved in any of that? And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that she at all had any connection to that. When I see that, it's like you're victimizing the victim, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. Like, I was just with her at the White House, and she's, that's anyone. If that happened to your wife, my husband, like, it's devastating. But I do think that there will be a lot probably that will come out in the trial. And it'll answer a lot of questions, which I think people should see the evidence.
Yeah, what's the one thing that came out, Rob, that anybody that was at Utah, the 3,000 people that were in attendance, they can't talk about a gag order, the biggest gag order of all time, I think it was said. Is that what it was, Rob?
Yes. The judge in the case for the murder trial of Tyler Robinson has issued a gag order that prevents any of the witnesses who may have been in attendance that may testify in the case from speaking with the media. That's 2,000 to 3,000 people that were on the UVU campus at the time of the shooting on September 10th.
That's interesting.
Right now, those people are gagged.
I'm not a fan of gag orders because of what I saw happen with President Trump in New York City when they were trying to put a gag order on him to control the narrative about that. What I will also say, though, is I'm curious to see what evidence they do have, so I'm curious to see what they can present in court. Because if you have evidence where you have like prints on everything and the guy's pleading guilty to it, I think it's a lot different. That'll answer a lot of questions. But either which way, I mean, Charlie was on the path to become and probably easily get elected based on the base that he had and the reach that he had and the ability to connect with people and the messaging and just the ability to break through cognitive dissonance. He was like a complete just machine in that sense. And I think that, there were countries that can track that kind of stuff, like China. But also, too, a lot of people have said, well, was it because he was pivoting on his position on Israel? And I think that that's why the evidence specifically needs to come out so that people can answer those questions for themselves. But as far as I'm hearing, apparently they have great evidence on Tyler Robinson. So that's it.
We will see. Is this it, Rob?
Yes, this is a news report on the gag order.
Go for it.
Of discovery in this case, Your Honor. It's voluminous, to say the least.
His lawyers entered their formal appearance and declined to waive his right to a preliminary hearing.
Who's this?
Judge Tony Graff has issued a gag order preventing anyone associated with the case from talking about it. It's avoid pretrial publicity, already a big problem in a case with massive media exposure involving a high-profile figure like Charlie Kirk.
So is it
but the judge wants to ensure
trial,
a fairer
or is it
trial
all the
for
3,000
Robinson.
people?
It's also brought up a big issue
What did it say?
involving
Is it anyone in the
anyone
trial or
associated.
all 3,000 people?
So right now, from my understanding, it's all
trial.
3,000 that if anyone may be called to testify in the trial. That's why they're putting the gag order in place in order to give Tyler Robinson a fair trial and and not have a tainted jury pool.
Got it. Yeah, this is the biggest assassination of our lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? So
This is on this. I've said this before. It's on the level of MLK.
I agree. I agree. The only difference with this is you got 3,000 cameras that were there, phones, to see everything that's going on. And fingerprints are everywhere today versus what they used to be. Let's go to the last story before we wrap up.
And they, I'm sure, too, I mean, they can do the phone, like the digital pinging, all of that. So, I mean, I think the evidence is going to say a lot, and I'm actually hoping that the evidence can get out there sooner rather than later because I think it will answer questions. And I think everyone involved needs to be held accountable. But either which way, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of gag orders.
Yeah, me neither. No, look, I just want to find out what happened. If there's anybody who's a bad person, let's find out and get to the bottom of it, whoever did it. Because, one, we don't know what happened with Butler. The other day,
I'm telling you right now, Butler, that felt like an inside job. Sometimes what it seems like is it's intentional negligence.
Okay, so is there anything we can do to find out who it was? Because some of the
with
guys
Butler or with Charlie?
With Butler.
Again, I think that would be up to the purview of the president if he would be comfortable releasing those files, but just be cautious in that even if files were released, I don't know that we'd find the answers because we know for a fact that the evidence for the cocaine baggie was destroyed. They got rid of that. Why would you destroy that? What if that would have been anthrax? You know, like you're smuggling cocaine into the White House. What if that was anthrax? You know, it's like in my opinion, they wouldn't have destroyed it unless someone directly associated with the president.
After 2 years of working on this, we have finally pulled it off. And let me tell you what it is. Every time we do the Vol conference, if you've attended, you know this. I stand up and I speak for probably 45 hours is what I do at the Vol conference. And I love it. I love being around the guys. I love it. But I wear the Ferragamo shoes when I do this. Or I wear some kind of dress shoes. Eventually, for the last 25 years, I've always been on stage walking around. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. I want a shoe that I'm comfortable wearing. And here's what I love. I don't like shoes that are so heavy. That's a dumbbell. You can use it as a weapon. I don't want that. Like the Xenia, you carry it. I have so many of them, but they're so heavy. Like you can literally curl the Xenia, the shoes, and you'll get a pump within 30 reps. And I wanted the combination of the Hoka, the On-Cloud, the Super Foam, because there's a big thing going on right now with the Super Foam where the bottom of the shoe, you wear it. You know which ones I'm talking about, the On-Cloud or the Hokas, right? They're so comfortable. And I said, what if we take luxury and then combine it with the super comfort? What would that look like? And let's build it in Italy. So what do? We went to Italy. We designed the shoe in Florida. We made the shoe in Italy in five of the factories. We went back and forth, God knows how many times. And by the way, the shoes we're about to launch and introduce to you right now, where you're going to see the video for the first time, I've been wearing those shoes for the last 22 days straight. I'm wearing them right now. I literally wear it with suits. I wore it yesterday when we went to lunch. I wear it every single day. It's the most comfortable shoes I have, yet it's authentic Italian leather. Rob, if you don't mind playing the video, go for it. Here's the video of the latest shoe, the FLBs. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. Boom. There you go. Designed in Florida, 100% made in Italy. 50 hands touch each shoe that was made. And here's what's unique about it. I want to kind of show this to everybody that knows this. And I've worn pretty much every one of these shoes. So if you compare this, the Italian leather, of course, it's made in Italy. It's not assembled, made in China, assembled in Italy, 100% made in Italy, assembled in Italy. It's FLBs, Berluttis, which are $18.40, Ferragamos are $8.95, Xenias are $11.90, and Gucci's are $9.50. Leather premium lining, all of them except for Gucci. Laceless feature, it's the FLBs, the Berluttis, you have laces, Ferragamos laceless, and then you have also the Xenias, and then the Gucci's have the laces. I don't want to wake up in the morning, put laces on. I want to get out the house. Took me 3 seconds to put my shoes on today. Craftsman, 5 different Italian factories all made this shoe. Berluttis are the same as us, as well as FLB. But the only shoe, these trainers, the only one in the world today, according to the factories that told me this in Italy, that has the super foam, the only one that has the same super foam used in the On-Clouds and the Hokas, it's the FLBs, and they're officially out, and you can place the order. Here's a challenge. We only have 1,000 of these pairs. And when you say 1,000 of these pairs, they start from size, I believe, is it 8? It goes 8, 9, 10, 10.5, 11, 11.5, 12, 13. Those are the sizes that we have. And the shoes that you can get today, the colors, You have access to, Rob, if you can go back there, you can have access to those browns, which is absolutely beautiful. And by the way, the brown on the bottom, the stitching on the side is a left stitching. If you can change the picture, and on the bottom it says the future looks bright. Look at the white lines on the side. It's beautiful. The only ones we have right now that you can get sent out today are the black and the browns. If you do want the white to pre-order, I would highly recommend you do so. They're going to come out the second week of December. So the white and the navy blue comes out the second week of December. The browns and the blacks are available. If you believe the future looks bright as much as we do, go place the order. There's nothing like sitting in the boardroom with your trainers and you put your feet over your knee and people look at the bottom of your shoe and it says future looks bright. That's how you get deals done. All right, so they're out. I'm excited to announce it, and I'm very happy for people to go sport it. When you get them, take pictures, send it our way. We're going to show all these shoes, all the pictures that are being taken. I already got a bunch of them sent to me on Instagram. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. It's all over the website. Maybe buy it for your husband, buy it for your brother, buy it for your coworkers, buy it for your best salespeople if you want to let them know the future looks bright.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.